corruption after exile. Good evening, I'm Kristen Salandi. Welcome to the Tobago Updates television news for Budget Monday, 13th of October 2025. Now to our top story. Tobago has secured a robust allocation of $3.72 billion for the fiscal year 2025 to 2026, significantly surpassing the minimum recommended share of the national budget. The figure was announced by the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Devendranath Thankoo, during his budget presentation, confirming a major increase in fiscal support for the island. The core allocation to the Tobago House of Assembly alone represents 5% of the national budget.
Kathleen, I am proud and happy to announce that in this fiscal year, I have been directed by my Prime Minister to allocate $2.96 billion to the Tobago House of Assembly, which represents a full 5% of the national budget.
The $2.96 billion allocated directly to the THA comfortably exceeds the 4.03% minimum allocation prescribed by the Dispute Resolution Commission, DRC. Minister Thankoo confirmed an additional $763 million would be spent by various line ministries on the island, raising the total commitment. This comprehensive funding is earmarked for critical sectors including tourism, agriculture, infrastructure upgrades, and healthcare system expansion.
$3.72 billion, which equates to 6.3% of the national budget. Mr. Speaker, when UNC wins, Tobago wins.
Allocation. National budget is set against the backdrop of a deep financial strain inherited by the current THA administration. Minister Thankoo noted that the budget planning was necessary to combat economic distress while implementing a strategy focused on strategic selectivity to foster sustainable job creation and a socio-economic prosperity, ensuring a resilient economy for all Tobagonians. In a combative opening statement to today's budget presentation, Finance Minister Devendranath Thankoo delivered a fierce indictment of the former People's National Movement administration, accusing them of presiding over a decade of destruction and leaving the nation in financial ruins. Addressing Parliament this afternoon, Minister Thankoo asserted that a review of the national fiscal position had uncovered the severe magnitude of economic distress plaguing the country. He painted a grim picture detailing deep structural imbalances, a broken tax deficits, and rising national debt as key features of the economic landscape inherited by the current government. Beyond the economy, Thankoo also levied sharp criticism regarding the state of law and order. He alleged that the previous administration permitted a collapse in public safety, allowing criminals to roam freely and simultaneously eroding public trust in the judicial system. He pointed to cutbacks in gate funding, government assistance for tuition expenses, and reduced financial support for children with special needs as potent symbols of the previous government's detrimental approach. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar used the spiritual significance of Diwali to frame her political journey and decisive return to power, promising a renewed fight against the nation's biggest threats. Speaking at a Diwali celebration in her home constituency of Siparia, the Prime Minister likened her nearly 10-year stint in opposition to the 14-year exile of Lord Ram, a central figure in the Ramayana story, which Diwali celebrates.
I will go to war against corruption, which steals from our children. I will go to war against crime, which stalks our homes.
The address, delivered to a packed gathering of diplomats, including His Excellency the High Commissioner of India and local officials, was a rallying cry for collective action and a reaffirmation of her dedication to the principles of justice and dignity for all citizens. Prime Minister Prasad Bisesa has a long road ahead, facing the challenge of a statistical high homicide rate and an economic diversification, but she enters her second term with a powerful spiritual and political metaphor for her return.
We'll be back with more news. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. The Trinidad and Tobago's police service is undergoing a critical leadership change following affirmative votes in Parliament for two key acting appointments. The decision, driven by the Police Service Commission, comes as the national security apparatus faces a period of heightened public scrutiny. Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Junior Benjamin, has officially been approved to act as Commissioner of Police. He steps into the top role alongside Assistant Commissioner Mr. Akur Simon, who will serve as the acting Deputy Commissioner of Police. The constitutional appointments were necessitated by the PSC's directive for the former top-ranking officer to cease reporting for duty, pending an ongoing investigation. These senior officers now assume command of a force comprising of over 6,500 men and women across 9 divisions. Their immediate task is crucial to strengthen operational stability, address national crime concerns, and diligently work to rebuild public trust in law enforcement. All eyes remain on this leadership transition as the country demands tangible security results. Tension gripped the floor of the House of Representatives when Minister of Defense Wayne Sturge flatly refused to provide reasons for the sudden termination of the Chief of Defense Staff, Air Vice Marshal Darrell Daniel. Reporter Jewel Green George has more. The highly anticipated exchange occurred while questions were being asked. The minister invoked a rarely used parliamentary provision, Standing Order 27G, to shield the government's decision from public scrutiny. The question, raised by the member for Aruca Lopino Marvin Gonzalez, was framed in light of the current state of emergency in Trinidad and Tobago, an SOE that was extended for 3 months by Parliament in July 2025 to combat a highly threatening criminal network. The unexpected expected revocation of Air Vice Marshal Daniels' appointment on October 7, 2025, and the subsequent appointment of Captain Don Polo has raised concerns about stability within the security services during this critical period. When pressed for an answer, Minister Sturge was swift.
Mr. Speaker, permit me to invoke Standing Order 27G.
The move immediately drew a protest from the opposition, who argued that accountability on matters of governance was critical. The Speaker, however, provided a detailed, non-negotiable ruling underscoring the limits of the Speaker's power to challenge the Minister's decision.
A minister may decline to answer a question if, in his opinion, the publication of the answer would be contrary to the public interest.
The move immediately drew a protest from the opposition, who argued that accountability on matters of governance was critical. The Speaker, however, provided a detailed, non-negotiable ruling underscoring the limits of the Speaker's power to challenge the Minister's decision. The Speaker later clarified that the House's standing orders do not grant him any residual discretionary power to challenge, question, or call to account the invocation of the public interest by the Minister.
It is not for me to second-guess the minister. I have no such power under the standing orders.
With the Minister's reliance on public interest holding firm, citizens remain in the dark about the circumstances surrounding the replacement of the nation's top military officer, even as the Defense Force plays a central role in joint operations to manage the ongoing security threat. The move is certain to fuel further public debate on transparency and executive authority. And that wraps up tonight's newscast. Stay tuned for a live budget panel discussion up next. Thank you for joining us this evening's newscast. Let's recap the headlines before we go. Tobago has secured a robust allocation of $3.72 billion for the fiscal year 2025-2026. Minister Tanku slams PNM for economic ruin in budget opening. And Diwali of return, Prime Minister vows war on crime, corruption after exile. I'm Kristen Salandi. Thank you so much for joining us. See you tomorrow, same time, same place.